Hello, good morning everybody. Thank you for coming to join me today. I'm trying to catch up on my videos. I've been playing around. I wanted to have a try at something a bit different, so outside my comfort zone on this one. I've been watching for a while now people making fabric journals out of fabric. Artymaze has made one that inspired me. Rachel Roxy Creations is always using her fabrics, and that's obviously an inspiration as well. And Inky Owl Studios made a fabric journal a while ago. So I wanted to have a go at it. So this is my take on other people's ideas. So thank you very much for the inspiration to those people and anyone that I've watched, you know. I've put it into a little bag, and this is completely inspired by Rachel Roxy Creations. It's just, this is a vintage button from a coat. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see, it's quite dull here again today. It's a pink button that's got kind of silver round the edge, and it is from a coat. And it's a piece of cotton fabric. It was actually a tablecloth that had crocheted trim round the edge that I took off. And then I've stitched the edges with bits of fabric that I've had left over that I've used in the journal, in the style of Rachel. So it's a little journal that fits into there. A little journal, but I really like this one, and it's what I will be making it again, and I think I might make a bigger one actually next time. So the way that I've done this one is I've used calico fabric. Let me just get the bits that I've got left over. And what I did was cut some pieces of calico to the size that I wanted. As I say, I would do it bigger next time. I cut the pieces the same as Inky Owl Studio had done, and then just dipped them in, screwed them up, dipped them in tea. And you can see this is the same fabric, but you can see how different they've taken to the coffee dyeing. Exactly the same piece of fabric, but they've all obviously come out slightly different, some lighter than others, some have got patterns on more than others. So I've got enough to do another book. And I also did longer strips of it because I wanted to make a larger book as well. So I've got that all ready to go, all nicely ironed. It's funny, I don't like doing the ironing, but I will iron fabric for journals. So this one measures, I think it's about, I did write it down somewhere, I think it's turned out to be about 4.5 inches wide and just over 6 inches tall. So it is quite small, but it is packed. It is, and it has a lovely squishy feel. And as I say, it's completely different to anything I've tried before. It's just tied together there with a little piece of seam binding, and the seam binding, it is all frayed, it is all tatty. Everything in here is kind of frayed and tatty. It's little snips of fabric that I've had, little snips of lace. So I've put little pin in there with some, and that can just be taken off if you didn't want it on there. The kit that I've used is Andrea's Vintage Days, and I've just cut the pieces. I just printed it normal size, and then I've just cut out the size that I wanted. So the front there, I've backed it onto a piece of card, and I've just put some trim on there, some flower trim with some white vintage buttons, and then there's some lace across down the spine that I've put on. And then on the back, again, an image there from Andrea's kit, and that's backed onto card as well. And watching different videos, you don't have to back them on card, but it just gives the cover that little bit of stability. So it is quite a stiff one. And there's pockets at the top as well in that. So both the front and the back cover have got pockets. And these are on card as well. So cut these images out of Andrea's papers, backed them onto card and put some lace trim in it, and it just goes into that pocket there, and that just gives that front cover that stability. So that was really worth knowing. I wouldn't have thought about that, I don't think, if I hadn't seen it. I've put a pocket there on the front. Somebody sent me this in Happy Mail. I can't remember who it was, but I've hoarded it for a good while. Haven't wanted to use it, but when I was doing this, it was actually on my desk, and that little girl was next to it, and I just thought, he looks like he's tipping his hat to her, and so he had to be used. So I'm quite sad I've used it. But there it is. It looks right in this journal, I think. So there's a little boy there tipping his hat to the little girl. I've got an old crocheted doily there that I've cut that off. It's all tatty. It's all falling to pieces. And then in there, again, papers from Andrea's kit. That beautiful lady on there. And again, it's backed on coffee dyed paper, or tea dyed rather. And that just goes in there. This, I've used up little snips of fabric that I've had laying around. So this is actually a reproduction vintage fabric. And I've used that lovely image of that little girl there. And then in the back there is a postcard that you can write on the back. That just tucks in there. And this page then is just one single piece of that fabric, but because it's got the cards in, it gives it that stability as well. A little piece of crocheted flower there that I've cut off a doily, and then some lace, and then in the back there, that beautiful little girl. And again, Andrea's papers. I've just done a little collage there. So again, this is Andrea's my design team project using the Vintage Days for Andrea. This is just it's not quite a circular doily, it's a misshaped circular doily, and I've just folded that over and stitched it to make it into a pocket and stitched it onto the page. And then in there I've got some different cards that come with the kit, one of the tags, and again extra journaling space. So that opens up like a concertina there. So of course you can't write, well, I suppose you could write on those pages if you had a pen that would write on fabric, but I wanted to give plenty of room for everybody to be able to journal. And so this is 2 pages together. The other person that I watched that made fabric booklets was Brooke from Handmade. And she did a series this year where you stitched the pages, but she actually sewed her pages together and then decorated the edges in different ways. So I thought about that as well when I was making this one. And so in this pocket here, there's one of the little, made a little booklet with some extra pages. So there's plenty of space in that one to journal. And there's all sorts of papers in there. And then I put some little beads on the edge. And that tucks in that pocket there with the beads hanging out. And then on this side there's the crocheted trim that was round I think it was round the tablecloth, round this tablecloth actually, and I've just dipped it in some tea, and then I've hand stitched some cross stitching there just to hold that edge down, just to give it a little bit of stability, and I think you could call my sewing rustic. I love another journaling card there from the kit. And I love these blue pages. I think in the kit they come in a blue, a deep maroon and like a beige colour. And you could write on there or stick something on it. This is the middle of the signature, and the middle of the signature, or rather the signature in the middle of the book, is a little journal that I've stitched in. So I think there are around 40 pages in this one. And it's just all different papers that go with the kit, some coffee dyed papers, again kit page. It's got a little envelope there that comes with the kit. I shrank that down because obviously it was a full-size one to go in a full-size journal, so I think I did that one and the other one at 2 to a page. It's more just coffee dyed paper, the kit paper. So you know, you've got at least 40 pages in here, plus the booklets that come in the other pockets as well. Some lace down that one. And that's the centre of the signature, and that has the little beads on it. And because it is obviously a lumpy bumpy book, because there's fabrics, lace and all sorts, I've just done a little writing board there, and put some tea-dyed calico down the edge. And I've just left that in the middle there, so that's just like a hard writing board, so that you don't have any difficulty writing in it. And again, all the different papers. And again, the other envelope. That cute little girl again. And then the back of the little writing signature. And then in this pocket here, again, that's the same crochet trim as that one. And I've just stitched round it there, and I've put a little flower and done some French knots in there. And then in the back of that, again, lots of places to journal. There's a couple of journaling cards. These are printed on like a cardstock because I didn't want to bulk it out any more than it was. So lots and lots of space that you can journal and write little notes in there. It just tucks inside there. And then this again is 2 pages of the journal, of the fabric put together. And again, there's just another journaling spot in there. So again, extra papers. So some extra journaling space, and again, the beads on the back. And that just goes in there. And as I say, my sewing is rustic. There's a couple of pom-poms or Suffolk puffs, and I don't know if you can see, I've done chain stitch for the stems, some little French knots in there, and that's a tuck spot there. So a couple of pieces of the fabric that I had left over in there, some vintage lace on the edge there, and again I thought the colours matched with what I was doing. And then there's a couple of journaling cards in there. It just tucks in there. And then the last page, there's another of the letters there with some extra journaling space on, and a couple of journaling cards. And that's just a piece of, what do you call it? I'm not sure what you call it. I've put some little French knots in the middle of those flowers just to add a little bit of texture to it. And that was a piece of fabric that was gifted to me. So I've hung on to all these little bits and pieces, not wanting to use them, and I thought, well, this is the perfect journal for them to go into. So I love that little boy. Is it a little boy? Could be a little girl, but the dog's nearly as big as they are. There we go. And then on the back of that one, I've put a corner tuck, and that's fabric. And then the same flowers, and I've put the little French knots in those. And I thought the yellow brought out the yellow of those flowers. And then there's just a little journaling card in there. And then this is the back cover of the journal. So this is one of the pockets that comes with the kit. And I've put a little journaling card in there. I'll put it in later. Again, I'm at a funny angle. So I put the pocket on there, and I backed it so that it could itself become a pocket, so you can tuck things behind it. And then I've put that onto another piece of paper there. So a couple of the little cards that come with the kit, and they're just tucked underneath there. And then again, it's the back cover of the journal, so there's a journaling card in there, and that goes in that top back pocket there, and then on the back. So that is my first attempt at a fabric journal. I do hope you like it. I really enjoyed making this one. Loved it. I haven't got lots of trim and lace and things, but I'll have a look and see what I've got, and I would love to make another one. But I hope you've enjoyed it. And again, it will be for sale if anybody is interested. Then I do have a Facebook page that you can contact me on, and I'll put some pictures of it on there as well. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.